Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly live show. I am Fabiana Claure, pianist and business strategist for musicians. I'm the founder and CEO of the Musicians Profit Umbrella Business Mentorship Program, where we help musicians and creatives create six-figure leaps by packaging their skills into an online music business so that they can win back their time and create the life of their dreams, really in alignment with their values, with their lifestyle goals, and not have to sacrifice their artistic side, their financial side, or their overall quality of life. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite topics. Everything that is about CEO, growing your business, creating leverage is one of my specialties because if you don't know yet, my story consists of a multiple entrepreneurial path in which I've built multiple businesses, starting with a brick and mortar music school 11 years ago. Hard to believe now, in Florida. And for the last 6 years, my husband and I have been running it remotely since, being living here in Texas. Our school continues to run profitably in Florida. How can we do this? How did we do this? Precisely because we went from super employees to CEOs. This is the topic of today's show, and I'm so excited to dive right in because I believe that musicians need to know these things. We can oftentimes tend to put ourselves in the role of super employee and miss out on creating more leverage in our business and looking for ways to phase ourselves out and to be more of a CEO than a super employee. So today we're going to be talking about the difference between the two and how you can look at the way you're running your business and start positioning yourself more as a CEO versus a super employee. So, in the past, basically, this past decade, I've gone from being the one who did all the roles in my music school to, moving across the country, being able to restructure it, delegate it, allow it to continue running remotely, efficiently without me, to building a university program and still building systems and team around that infrastructure so that it could continue working and growing even without me. Since last year, I stepped out of academia. I quit this full time position and I decided to jump 100% into my online coaching business, which I launched 2 years ago. And so now I'm back to being 100% entrepreneur. But as I look back at this last decade of my life, it's really been all about creating the foundation for things to exist and operate without me later on, or at least not needing me to be 100% involved. And it's so interesting because the position that I stepped out of the university is now being taken over by one of my recent clients who came to my program, who wanted to learn how to better package her skills and create ways to add value to others and just be of service. And now it's so interesting how the world is so, kind of coming back in circles, in that she has elevated her visibility, has elevated her profile. And now she is the new director of the program that I founded and I created 6 years ago now when I started my role at the University of North Texas. So I'm super, super excited. Big shout out to Jessica Collado. Congratulations on creating, such a wonderful online program and visibility and recognition, and now taking on the role that I stepped out of a couple of years ago. So actually 1 year ago. So very excited to come to this session today and talk about, how can we shift from being the super employee? What does being a super employee even mean? And what's the difference between that and being a CEO? And so I want to share that what I have learned is that in order for us to create more of the leverage that we know our business needs, we have to focus on working on our businesses versus in our businesses. And this is hard, especially in the early stages of our entrepreneurial journey. I remember when I started my first business, I had two part-time assistants that would come to my school to help me. And the first day I welcomed them in to supposedly guide them into, giving them an orientation of what to expect in their role working for my academy, I confessed to them that I didn't know what they needed to do. Like, I literally told them, I know I need you to help me and I know you're going to be part of my organization, but I honestly don't know what you're going to do. So I remember having that epiphany of like, how do you manage other people? What do you even tell them to do? Because I was just so used to doing it all myself, right? By the way, if you're watching me, I'd love to see where you're watching me from. Share in the comments. Where are you watching me from? What are you doing? I'd love for you to share with me, what are your questions? What are your doubts as it relates to transitioning from being the super employee in your business to becoming the CEO? I'm always interested in seeing what my audience has to say about this and responding in real time as best as possible. Otherwise, I always go back and check the comments and we just respond after the fact. So make sure that if you're watching me, let me know in the comments, where are you watching me from? What are your top questions as it relates to going from being a super employee to becoming a CEO? And we can continue this conversation even beyond this live show. Okay. So this is the big difference. When you are trying to go from being the super employee, meaning the one who is really doing a lot of the hands-on activities that your business requires, whether it's marketing, whether it's even delivering the services to your clients, whether it's fundraising, managing your finances, creating content, all the things that we know we need to do in our business. We can oftentimes get stuck in this rut of being the super employee, in the sense that we are always the ones doing the things and always the ones taking the action steps and implementing, being the hands-on type of person in the business, right? Oh, we have some. Hello, Henda, one of my wonderful clients. Good to see you here. I've got another Facebook user from Kansas. Make sure you put your name on there if you're watching through Facebook stream so I can see your name. And so here's what I want you to think about. When we need to grow our businesses, when we are in a place of becoming the CEO versus the super employee, the number one thing we need to be willing to do is release control. And it's hard because up until this moment, obviously, if you are yet to start hiring people on your team, or if you just have had your first few hires, learning how to manage others is a completely new skill set for most entrepreneurs. Most CEOs go through this learning curve themselves, right? People don't just get good at being CEOs. People need to learn about leadership. They need to learn about effective management skills. They need to learn about emotional intelligence and how to connect with our team's best capabilities and get the most out of that, right? So, one thing that needs to happen first is a willingness to release control and to empower others to take that control. How do you do this? Well, most of the times when we are doing the things ourselves to begin the stages of our business, we have our own standards of excellence, right? We have our own quality. We know like how far we can come in achieving the excellence that we require for every area of our business. And yet at the same time, we know that we are maxed out, right? If you're watching this live stream, you're probably wondering, how can I create even more leverage in my business? How can I grow into a higher stream of working space that doesn't require me to be doing all the things? And you're probably feeling burned out, overwhelmed, right? So the first decision you need to make is, how can I release this sense of control to being perfect in what I'm doing and start documenting my systems, documenting my processes so that people can take this off my plate. And there's a difference between just delegating things to others and hoping that they do a good job and having to do damage control afterwards if they didn't, right? There's a difference between taking that type of delegation route, which is also referred to as drive-by delegation, right? Which doesn't usually lead to good results. And then we end up thinking, oh, well, this person didn't perform to my expectations. I have to let them go, whatever. And in fact, it's not that. It's that you need to first become the CEO versus the super employee. You need to be willing to step out of doing everything and step into a mode of documenting your systems, documenting your processes, and being willing to take on the role of coach on someone else and supporting your team member and really breaking down the steps of what they need to do and how they need to do it, or at least what does success look like for your team member versus you just saying, I need you to do this, right? So this needs to be one of the key components of what you need to be thinking about is like, if I want to stop being the one doing all these things, and yes, I may be happy with the level of excellence that I'm able to achieve and the results that I can get when I do everything, because no one knows your business better than yourself. And I understand that. And starting to take this mindset of like, what would it look like for me to now document all of the systems that I'm doing, create procedures, clear procedures, and train someone else on doing this for me, but not just train them, but also establish the right expectations of what success needs to look like, and be willing to follow up on that, right? Because if you don't follow up on that, and follow up on whether or not those expectations were met, and you wait too long to see whether you're happy with the result without really supporting your team member along the way, chances are you're going to not be happy with what is produced at the end. And so I want to empower you to start looking at this transition between going from super employee to CEO, with the first step of just being okay with releasing control and taking on the role of, documenting their processes, documenting everything you do, which is also something that can be learned. Just like leadership skills can be learned, creating SOPs, standard operating procedures, understanding how to build those systems in your business so that you don't have to be the one doing everything, and other people can take that on, whether it's a virtual assistant, whether it's an online business manager, whether you decide to take someone in to help you with sales and marketing, whatever that is. It's about you kind of changing your position and your mindset of like, oh, let me just do this, right? And by the way, avoiding the temptation of when things go south, you wanting to hold back onto those reins again, right? I'm sure many of you can relate to, sometimes things aren't done to your standards or to what you would believe needs to happen. And the first thing is, let me just do it again. Let me just do it myself. I'll just take it back on and I'll just do it. And so resisting that temptation of when things start getting a little challenging, to just take that on again, and instead to empower your team and to continue yourself and to remind yourself, I am a CEO. I want to become a CEO. I am a CEO. I can be an amazing leader if I just embrace these principles, right? Letting go of control, being willing to empower others, and be patient in coaching them to success, and be very organized in creating those procedures, those systems, documenting everything so that people can come in and take things off your plate, having a roadmap, having a strategy for that, versus just being told that this needs to be done and having to kind of wing it on their own. Make sense? So these are the 3 action items that I want to encourage you to take away from this session today. Is, where in your business are you right now holding on to too much control and refusing to bring in other people so that you can step away from being the super employee and step into becoming a CEO? Where are you perhaps being impatient with the people in your team that are not delivering to your expectations? And how can you, instead of maybe pointing fingers at them, how can you point your finger right back at yourself, or at least look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, how can I help my team members succeed? How can I help them get better results? What are the things that I can do in my role as a CEO to empower them to know what the next steps are and what success needs to look like in this particular task, right? And then finally, being able to just embrace a vision, an attitude of being the visionary for your business. You want to be able to not be the one doing all the things, but knowing that the time you spend thinking about the business is as valuable, if not more valuable, than the time spent doing the things in your business. No one is going to do the thinking for you. Other people can offload the doing for you, but no one will do the thinking for you like you can be doing, because you're the ultimate visionary. You're the person that knows what the business needs, right? So making sure that you're giving yourself proper space to think, to strategize on a regular basis, and surrounding yourself by people who can nurture that thinking, who can feed that, who can give you ideas, perspectives, who can inspire you to be doing your best thinking under the best support system, right? So those are some of the 3 key things I want you to take away from this session in terms of transitioning from being the super employee to becoming the CEO. And if you would like to talk to someone, to have that idea of brainstorming, what would be possible? How can you continue improving your systems, your procedures, your leadership skills? I'm going to invite you to book a connect call with me and my team. We're ready to connect with you. If you would love to talk more about this, I'm going to put the link in here where you can connect with us. And me and my team will be happy to share with you, what could be possible for you as it relates to the way you're strategizing with your team. What are the things that you may be missing as it relates to the different processes. So I'm just going to put the link in here if you would like to connect with me and my team and have a completely free strategy session to kind of brainstorm what this could look like for you in your business. Then go ahead and join us at Fabiana Claure driveby.com/call. And my team and I would be happy to connect with you and answer any questions that you may have about how you can become a better CEO. What are some of the things that you could do to transition from being a super employee to improving your systems and the performance of your team? Looking forward to hearing from you, connecting with you. Thanks again for watching this show. I hope you have a lot of ideas to go ahead and implement. And again, if you need any more support and you have any questions, let's get on a call. I'd be happy to chat about what could be possible for you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next week. Let's prosper together.